Good evening, barflies and lounge lizards. And tonight's episode came about from a conversation with the good Mr. Tony Santiago. Apparently, he has some less than flattering emails about my donut habits, and well, here we are. And number 5 on the list is the Tabanga from Hell It Came from 1957. And From Hell It Came tells the story of a small island suffering from a plague. When the king dies, the prince is accused of his murder and sentenced to death. As he is about to die, he swears revenge. And wouldn't you know it, a large, strange tree stump starts growing out of his grave. And soon, there's a tree monster on the loose. Now, the Tabanga is a wonderfully wacky design. You see a lot of spooky trees in films and animation, but rarely do you get to see such a grumpy looking tree. I mean, just look at that grumpy face. Grumpy and almost indifferent, like he only kind of wants to terrorize people. Now, the aforementioned tree monster was portrayed by Chester Hayes, who did a whole lot of TV and a whole lot of westerns, including Gunsmoke, Bonanza, and The Wild Wild West, as well as episodes of Batman, Kolchak, and Star Trek. The suit itself was designed by Paul Blaisdell, who I've discussed quite a bit on this channel. Blaisdell was not only an actor, but also a special effects artist. He worked on The She-Creature, Invasion of the Saucermen, and It, the Terror from Beyond Space, all of which he was the suit actor for as well. And that's all I have to say about that. And number 4 on the list, and this is taken in a slightly different direction than I've ever done before, and that's the Shambling Mound from Dungeons & Dragons from 1975. Also known as the Shambler, the Shambling Mound is a plant-like creature which first appeared in the August 75 edition of the Strategic Review, the TSR newsletter, and then its first main appearance would be the first edition Monster Manual from 1977, where it is described as a heap of rotting vegetation that is actually an intelligent form of vegetable life that suffocates its prey and slime. You know, that's weird. My mom said that same thing about me just last week. And though carnivorous, who doesn't love a meat-eating plant, it holds a neutral alignment. So it's not suffocating you in slime to be mean. That's just what it does. The Shambling Mound, with a name almost as unfortunate as the comic book character Man-Thing, in which it so closely resembles, was an absolute favorite of mine as a kid. I had the LJN figure, and I would play with that thing all the time. And later, when I discovered comics, he would double for the aforementioned Man-Thing, because there wasn't a Man-Thing figure at that point in time. The Shamblers themselves, in the game, not the toy, stand at about 6 feet tall, weigh 2,800 pounds, and are most commonly found in temperate marshes. They are solitary, but can be summoned by magic, much like me. And number 3 on the list is Tendril from The Inhumanoids from 1986. Beginning as a kind of mini-series of sorts, Inhumanoids was a 13-episode animated series produced by Sunbow, Marvel, and Toei, and it told the story of a group of armor-wearing scientists who battle a group of very evil giant monsters from the center of the Earth, and among these monsters was the plant-like Tendril. Voiced by Chris Latta, who is probably best known as the voices of both Starscream and Cobra Commander, Tendril was a large, green, tentacly monster that could regrow limbs, and the severed limbs would grow into new tendrils. It's often said that he was inspired by the works of Lovecraft, and I can see it, but I also see a bit of the alien from I Married a Monster from Outer Space, which I really wanted to put on this list, but he wasn't technically a plant. Technically. At the time, Inhumanoids was the most violent and dark animated series I had ever seen. So of course I was all about it. The Tendril toy, which I still have to this day, remains one of my all-time favorites. And the series kind of broke that episodic format of cartoons at the time, making it really stand out. Of all the shows that came and went, this was the one that I think really deserved a second season. I think the mistake was aiming it at children rather than teens and adults, which really would have been the fan base and really what the subject matter I think lent itself most to. And on that, we should take a break of some kind.
Monsters do have their place. In the zoo, in your nightmares, in the deep, in your favorite horror movies. But not in your living room, on your TV. Don't let pay TV be the monster in your living room. Pay TV and cable TV companies are seeking the right to charge you for the very programs you now get free. If you want to stop pay TV and save free television, sign the petition in the lobby of this theater. Let your lawmakers know how you feel in the fight against pay TV and cable TV.
Från mistan Orkola, Baristo nive wovat Miller Sabet. Volcanivac ambisama like beer from Miller. From me kwan, Mr. Rabbit Seacar in Blissville.
Listen, you ever
Wobi Urkanali, taste.
Hey, Lord, my main man, where you at, baby? How you doing?
Wobiganip Org Miller, Barrett Uncle Armycom, and less.
I almost went to the wrong place. What a bunch of weirdos in the other place.
Get ready for thrilling action when evil unmen battle Swamp Thing. Who can stop them from destroying the Earth?
Swamp Thing!
Watch them turn into evil unmen to battle Snare Arm Swamp Thing.
You're no match for my mighty Snare Arm! But I am!
Is he doomed?
No, now I'm a different Swamp Thing! I'm BioGlow! The Earth is safe!
BioGlow and Snare Arm, each sold separately. Swamp Thing, Guardian of the Earth.
And we're back. And number 2 on the list is the Triffids from The Day of the Triffids from 1962. Though their first appearance was in the 1951 novel of the same name, written by John Wyndham, my focus will mostly be on the 62 film, being what I'm most familiar with. And said film, much like the novel in that regard, tells the story of a meteor shower that not only blinds most of the world, but also brings forth a species of carnivorous, mobile plants that begin killing people. In the novel, their origin is basically unknown, but in the film they came down along with said comets, thus making them aliens. Design-wise, they are big, lumbering plant creatures with slashing tentacles and a projectile stinger. It's really quite effective in that these are completely alien in design. The lack of any real humanoid characteristics really adds to their creepy otherworldliness, and their name, Triffid, comes from the fact that they had a 3-pronged root. There were many different Triffids on screen, but one suit actor in particular I wanted to spotlight is Mick Dillon, who was also the suit actor for Gorgo from the 1961 kaiju film of the same name. The Day of the Triffids was a favorite of mine as a child. I remember once a cousin and I were at a rec center type place at a park, but there was literally no one else there, not even supervisors. And what game did we play? We pretended we were in the film, just in a different part of the world, and that there were Triffids right outside the rec center. We can both see though. This is a great film and highly recommended if anyone hasn't seen this one, and just some of the most unique alien life forms I think you'll see in a sci-fi film. And now it's time for an honorable mention, and that's Swamp Thing. Why is he not on the list already, you may be asking? Perhaps I'm saving him for something big and important. Or maybe my tech guy just didn't get me the footage in time. And number 1 on the list, the alien plant from The Thing from Another World from 1951. Based off the 1938 novella Who Goes There by John W. Campbell, The Thing from Another World tells the story of an Air Force crew and scientists who find a flying saucer frozen in the Arctic, as well as the alien from said flying saucer. And once thawed out, the fun begins. This was one of the first classic sci-fi films I ever saw as a kid, possibly the first, and it has always just kind of stuck with me. And I've always felt the alien, though a super carrot in nature, resembled a space Frankenstein's monster with his large, square brow. Then there is his deadly looking claws. Makes you wonder how he got that fancy tunic on. Now, he was played by James Arness, who is best known for playing Marshall Dillon on Gunsmoke for an impressive 20 seasons. He was also in the giant ant movie Them, which is still the high water mark for giant ant movies. But back to The Thing from Another World. The novella was a bit closer to the later adaptation by John Carpenter, which many call the greatest remake of all time, but I disagree, simply because that film isn't actually a remake of this film, but just another adaptation of the same source material. As to the actual design of the alien carrot, it supposedly took 5 months and 18 sculptures before director Howard Hawks was satisfied, though as to whether or not Hawks truly directed the film is actually a highly debated topic. And that's all the time we have for this week. Please like, comment, subscribe. Please don't release those emails, Tony, and keep it wacky.